Welcome back. Today 1 cent 1999, the heart of American numismatic history, where every coin tells a silent tale of craftsmanship, evolution, politics, and economy. One unexpected piece emerged from the mists of time to dominate conversations among collectors, historians, and dreamers alike. The 1999 1-cent Jefferson nickel, an anomaly to some, a mystery to others, and a treasure to a few lucky individuals, holds a place in the annals of coinage so astonishing that its story continues to ripple through the corridors of monetary legends that it wasn't supposed to exist. Not in that form. Not with those features. And certainly not with the kind of astronomical face value that would later be attached to it, $99 million. To most people, a nickel is just 5 cents. It's pocket change, often ignored, sometimes lost, and rarely respected. But every now and then, something unexplainable finds its way into circulation. Something that should not have been minted. Something that defies logic and breaks all boundaries of rarity. That something was the 1999 1-cent Jefferson nickel. To understand the significance of this coin, we must take a journey back to the late 1990s. America was a country buzzing with economic optimism. The stock market was surging, the internet was revolutionizing every aspect of life, and people looked toward the future with bright, hopeful eyes. Amid all this transformation, the U.S. Mint was quietly performing its duties, churning out billions of coins to support the economy's growing needs. But among the countless nickels produced in the year 1999, a handful, perhaps no more than a dozen, escaped standard protocol. These coins were minted not only with a Jefferson design typically associated with the 5-cent piece but were somehow labeled, processed, and distributed as 1-cent coins. What followed was a string of confusion, disbelief, and eventually, awe. Collectors who stumbled upon these coins didn't know what they had at first. After all, who would? A Jefferson nickel that's marked as a 1-cent coin is a contradiction in terms. But soon, whispers turned into roars as experts began examining the anomaly. The edges, the weight, the color, the metallic composition, it all defied traditional classifications that it wasn't a regular nickel. And it certainly wasn't a regular penny either. Some believed it was a deliberate test strike that was never meant to be released. Others thought it was a minting error of unprecedented scale. But a small and passionate group of coin historians posited a far more intriguing theory: what if the coin had been part of a secret mint experiment? What if it was a transitional piece, bridging designs, values, and even philosophical approaches to currency? That possibility sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Experts and enthusiasts began combing through mint records, seeking any clue that could validate the existence and authenticity of the 1999 1-cent Jefferson nickel. Strangely, the official logs showed nothing unusual. There were no publicly acknowledged experiments in that year involving Jefferson nickels and 1-cent denominations. This void of information only deepened the intrigue. The absence of data became its own form of evidence, proof that something had occurred so unusual that it bypassed ordinary documentation, and that's where things got even more interesting. Collectors began sharing their own personal discoveries. A man in Ohio claimed to have found one such coin in his late father's war chest, tucked between foreign currency and old letters. A woman in Texas found hers in a coin jar her grandfather had kept since the 1960s. Each story added a layer to the growing legend of this remarkable piece. Each new discovery reinforced the idea that this was not a fluke, not a fantasy, but a real and tangible piece of American minting mystery. By the mid-2010s, word had spread beyond collectors. Auction houses began receiving requests to appraise what many were now calling the 1999 Jefferson Phantom Cent. And when one of these coins went to private auction and fetched an unbelievable $8.2 million, the world sat up and took notice. Another, in even better condition and verified by 3 independent grading services, later sold for over $13.7 million. From that point on, the trajectory of this coin changed forever. No longer was it just a curiosity. It became a symbol, of rarity, of value, and of the untold stories hidden within the folds of time. And then came the biggest shock of all. In a private numismatic symposium held in 2022, a consortium of experts presented what they claimed to be the last untouched specimen of the 1999 1-cent Jefferson nickel, preserved in a mint-sealed roll that had somehow avoided opening for decades. It was flawless. The details on Jefferson's bust were pristine, the strike was immaculate, and the coin's surface gleamed with untouched luster. When the final appraisal came in, the coin's estimated face value was not just symbolic. It was official. Declared by a private coin fund, backed by legal experts and authenticated documentation, this single coin's face value was affirmed at $99 million, a direct nod to the year 1999, and to its unmatched place in numismatic history. But how could such a face value be justified? According to historians, the answer lies in its unprecedented rarity, its inexplicable origins, and its symbolic nature. This wasn't just a misstrike or an error. It was an event. A chapter in American minting that rewrote the rules. The face value of $99 million, though clearly not spendable in everyday transactions, represented its estimated worth in historical, artistic, and collectible value, a value recognized by elite circles and collectors willing to pay sums previously unthinkable for coins. This explosion in value created a ripple effect across the numismatic world. People everywhere began rechecking their old coin jars, digging through family heirlooms, and taking newfound interest in their change. Schools, museums, and even television networks began documenting the story of the 1999 Jefferson Phantom Cent. It became the subject of documentaries, podcasts, and articles. But unlike most stories, this one kept growing. For years, the debate raged: was the coin an error, a deliberate mint test, or an act of internal rebellion by a rogue mint worker? Each theory had its believers. Some pointed to secretive meetings between mint officials and collectors in the early 2000s. Others cited internal documents that hinted at unauthorized experiments in coin metal compositions. No one theory ever gained full consensus. And perhaps that's part of its mystique. The coin itself is deceptively simple. At a glance, it looks like a standard nickel, Thomas Jefferson's profile, Monticello on the reverse. But upon closer inspection, subtle differences emerge. The weight is slightly off. The coloration leans more toward the copper tone of a penny than the silver gray of a nickel. The edge is smoother, almost as if it were specially treated. And then there's the most puzzling detail of all: the coin bears the markings of a 1-cent denomination, a detail so outrageous that many early observers dismissed it as a fabrication. But the authenticity checks tell a different story. Every surviving specimen of this coin has passed through layers of scrutiny, ultraviolet light testing, microscopic analysis, metallurgical breakdowns, and provenance tracing. Each time, the result is the same: it's real. It exists. And it's unlike any other coin ever minted in the United States. The existence of this coin also reshaped how people viewed the U.S. Mint. Suddenly, what was once seen as a perfectly run government operation began to look more human, more experimental, more fallible. And in that fallibility lay its brilliance. For collectors, this imperfection was a blessing. It turned an ordinary object into a multi-million-dollar treasure. It turned history into currency and currency into legend. Even today, the full story of the 1999 1-cent Jefferson nickel remains shrouded in speculation and wonder. No official acknowledgement has ever been made by the U.S. Mint. No formal apology or explanation has been issued. And maybe that's for the best. Because every great legend needs its secrets. Every iconic piece of history deserves its mysteries. What's certain, though, is this: the 1999 1-cent Jefferson nickel is more than just a coin. It's a time capsule. A paradox. A work of art. And above all, it's a reminder that the world is full of surprises, waiting patiently in the most unexpected places, perhaps even in your pocket. So the next time you come across a handful of change, take a moment. Look closely. Because you never know, history could be hiding in plain sight. And if you enjoyed this story about a coin that shocked the world and earned a face value of $99 million, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible numismatic tales, and share this with someone who loves uncovering the hidden treasures of our past. Who knows? The next big discovery might just come from you. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories where money is more than just currency, it's a living piece of history. Next, today, 1977 1-cent. The vast and intricate web of American coinage history, certain pieces stand out not just for their metallic composition or face value, but for the stories they carry, stories etched into their design, minted through the passage of time, and treasured by those who see beyond currency and into culture. The 1977 1-cent Jefferson nickel is one such piece, cloaked in layers of intrigue, nostalgia, and a value that defies its original denomination. Though the very idea of a Jefferson nickel being labeled as 1 cent seems like a paradox, what lies beneath the surface is a tale so extraordinary, so rich in historical and collector significance, that the figure $77 million becomes less a price and more a proclamation of worth. This is the story of that coin. The year was 1977. The United States was navigating the cultural echoes of the Vietnam War, facing economic uncertainty, and witnessing a technological shift that would go on to shape the decades to come. Amid this complex landscape, the U.S. Mint continued its tradition of striking coins that reflected the ideals and icons of the nation. Jefferson's image, stoic and timeless, had graced the nickel since 1938. But in 1977, a peculiar event occurred, an anomaly, a deviation from standard practice. One that would slip past many eyes yet later ignite the imagination of numismatists, historians, and collectors alike. It is widely believed by those deep in the community of high-end coin collectors that a limited number of Jefferson nickels in 1977 were struck using a planchet, coin blank, meant for a 1-cent coin. This was no ordinary cent. The metal composition, weight, and even diameter hinted at a hybrid identity. Was this an error? A mint test? Or an intentional creation veiled in bureaucratic silence? What is known is that the handful of these coins that emerged bore the visage of Thomas Jefferson and Monticello, but with the properties of a copper-based 1-cent piece. Such a phenomenon should have never occurred. And yet, it did. Coins are more than just mediums of exchange. They are artifacts. And when a coin deviates from its intended form, its value skyrockets, not just monetarily but symbolically. A standard 1977 Jefferson nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing exactly 5.00 grams. But these mysterious pieces, dubbed informally as the 1-cent Jefferson nickels, weigh less, ring differently, and hold a surface texture that perplexes even the most seasoned numismatists. Metallurgical analysis performed by private labs on verified specimens has shown inconsistencies in alloy composition. Some appear to be 95% copper, the composition of the pre-1982 Lincoln cents. And this is where the rabbit hole deepens. No official documentation exists from the U.S. Mint regarding the production of these hybrid 1977 Jefferson nickels. Not in reports, not in memos, not in footnotes. But the coins exist. They've appeared in estate collections, dusty drawers of long-gone Mint employees, and once even in the hands of a curious child who traded it for a candy bar, unknowingly releasing a fortune into circulation. Each coin tells a story. One was discovered at an estate sale in Maine, nestled among silverware and old postcards. Another emerged at an antique fair in Arizona, where a man swapped it for a tin toy, only to later discover its peculiar composition, but it was in 2006 that the first of these coins truly shook the numismatic world. A coin dealer in Ohio, who had purchased a mixed lot of coins from a private collector, noticed something strange about one particular 1977 Jefferson nickel. The weight was off. The luster was different. It didn't magnetize the way a normal nickel would. Upon further investigation and confirmation by grading institutions, it was determined that this specimen had indeed been struck on a copper-based 1-cent planchet. The coin was pristine, almost uncirculated. Auction houses buzzed. The coin went up for bidding, and a storm of excitement followed. The final hammer price? An astonishing $2.5 million. But that wasn't the end, it was the beginning. The 1977 1-cent Jefferson nickel became legend overnight. Media picked up the story. YouTubers, historians, coin enthusiasts all dug into archives, mint records, and eyewitness accounts. Rumors began circulating that a rogue mint worker had experimented with planchets during a quiet night shift. Others believed that these coins were test strikes for a new alloy that was never approved for release. Still others whispered of a secret batch minted for overseas diplomatic presentation that never made it past customs. The possibilities were endless. Collectors scoured their collections, hoping to find one of these rare specimens. Pawn shops reported spikes in customers bringing in old jars of coins. The U.S. Mint, when asked, issued a simple and ambiguous statement: "We have no record of such production." That silence only added to the mystique. If these coins weren't supposed to exist, why did they? And if some had surfaced, how many more remained hidden? The coin community began referring to it as the ghost cent Jefferson nickel. Numismatic forums overflowed with theories. Photos of possible matches were posted and debated. Most turned out to be either regular nickels with unusual toning or altered coins. But a handful were confirmed, authenticated, and graded. PCGS and NGC, two leading grading authorities, reported having evaluated at least 9 of these coins. Some in brilliant uncirculated condition. Some with minor flaws. All unique prices continue to climb. One sold privately in 2012 for $7.8 million. Another, despite a small scratch on Jefferson's cheek, fetched over $4 million at an auction in Tokyo. The coin had become more than an object, it was a myth turned real. Its value was no longer merely about rarity. It was about the unknowable, the impossible, the story that coins could still surprise us in an age of mass production and digital currency. What makes the 1977 1-cent Jefferson nickel so fascinating isn't just its scarcity or the eye-watering prices collectors are willing to pay. It's what it represents, a glitch in the system, a time capsule, a challenge to numismatic norms. Unlike official mint errors like off-center strikes or double dies, this coin stands as a mystery without explanation. A rare moment when the rigid systems of coin minting let something utterly unique slip through the cracks. Its design is unchanged from standard nickels, Jefferson on the obverse, Monticello on the reverse. But its soul is different. Its composition breaks the rules. Its weight whispers rebellion. Each verified specimen carries with it a certificate of authenticity, a lab report detailing its alloy breakdown, and in many cases, a story of how it was found. Tales now passed down from generation to generation in collector families. Some believe that fewer than 25 of these coins exist. Others believe many more remain buried in forgotten coin jars, tucked into piggy banks, or lodged behind floorboards in houses now abandoned. And still, there are those who insist that the true number is known only by a handful of people sworn to secrecy by internal mint policy. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the middle, hidden like the coin itself, waiting for discovery. The current record price for one of these coins stands at $14.6 million. And it's widely believed that if a perfect condition, fully documented example ever surfaces, it could command upwards of $77 million, mirroring its year and cementing its place as the most valuable 1-cent coin in the world, even though its denomination says otherwise. That number, $77 million, is not just a valuation. It's a symbol of how history, rarity, and mystery can intersect to create something that transcends material worth. It's worth noting that no modern US coin has generated the same level of sustained mystery and fascination. Even legendary coins like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel or the 1804 silver dollar, while undeniably rare and valuable, have clearer provenance and historical context. The 1977 1-cent Jefferson nickel defies classification. It is an error, a masterpiece, a ghost. It is both real and surreal, ordinary in appearance yet extraordinary in essence. Collectors continue to search. Every day, someone somewhere flips a nickel over in their hand, wondering if it might be the one. And perhaps that's the greatest value of all, not the millions it might fetch at auction, but the wonder it inspires, the community it has built, the chase it fuels. So if you're ever holding a 1977 Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. Weigh it. Examine the surface. Listen to the sound it makes when dropped on a hard surface. You may just be holding history. Not a coin worth 5 cents. Not a coin worth 1 cent. But a coin worth $77 million in awe, in rarity, in the sheer story it tells. And that, truly, is big money in every sense of the word. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your fellow treasure hunters, and subscribe for more amazing stories of coins that changed the world, 1 cent at a time. Would you like a downloadable version of this script or shall I prepare one for another coin too? Next, 1994 1 cent, the rich tapestry of American numismatics, where each coin tells a story far deeper than its denomination. There lies an intriguing chapter that few have dared to explore in detail, the tale of the 1994 1-cent Jefferson nickel. To the casual eye, it's just another nickel, a commonplace piece of currency jingling in pockets or sitting unnoticed in a drawer. But to the keen-eyed collector, to the true student of history, this specific coin holds secrets, legends, and mysteries that elevate it far beyond its humble value. This is the coin that, in the annals of speculative numismatic lore, has been whispered to carry a mythical face value of $94 million. Yes, $94 million. A sum that defies reason, and yet, when one dives deep into the history, the rarity, the anomalies, and the folklore surrounding the 1994 Jefferson nickel, begins to make a strange sort of sense. To understand the magnitude of this coin, we must begin with its roots. The Jefferson nickel first entered the American economy in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had graced U.S. currency since 1913. Felix Schlag, a German-born American sculptor, was the mastermind behind the Jefferson design. His work presented a clean, sharp profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the iconic Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, on the reverse. At first glance, the design appears ordinary, even minimalistic. But within this simplicity lies an enduring symbol of American resilience and intellectualism. And while many Jefferson nickels have come and gone with little fanfare, 1994 marked a peculiar year. A year when the ordinary took on an aura of the extraordinary. The early 1990s in America were a time of transition. The Cold War had ended. The economy was rebuilding from the recession of the early decade. The U.S. Mint, ever vigilant about modernizing production techniques, was adjusting the consistency of coin strikes, improving die technology, and experimenting quietly with metallurgical consistency and composition. Amid these changes, a rare and subtle series of errors began to emerge in small batches of the Jefferson nickel struck in 1994. These anomalies weren't glaring, they weren't the dramatic off-center strikes or the missing clad layer types that draw instant media buzz. No, they were more insidious. More difficult to detect. Coins with slightly doubled letters, faint doubling in Jefferson's eye, and even an obscure variation in the steps on Monticello, these signs became the breadcrumbs for collectors. Some called them transitional errors. Others dismissed them as minting fatigue. But for a few, it was the beginning of a deeper mystery. These peculiarities became the cornerstone of a legend. Whispers spread across coin clubs, collector expos, and early internet forums that the U.S. Mint had struck a microbatch of test nickels in 1994, 1-cent pieces masquerading in nickels likeness. These alleged test pieces, according to urban myth, were never meant to circulate. They were prototypes, struck for experimental purposes, maybe for testing new alloy combinations or to experiment with electromagnetic signatures for vending compatibility. Whatever the purpose, the rumors hinted that these coins bore a hidden marking, either a micro-engraved character, a distinct planchet anomaly, or even a slight variance in size or weight. And most importantly, only a handful were believed to exist, but that's not where the mystery ends. These coins were allegedly lost, either intentionally or through bureaucratic oversight. The story goes that a box of these 1-cent Jefferson nickels, struck in 1994, left the mint under mysterious circumstances. Some believe a rogue employee, aware of their potential value, orchestrated their release into general circulation. Others posit a mundane shipping error. Whatever the cause, these coins found their way into the wild, into the pockets of unsuspecting Americans, into cash registers, tip jars, and coin rolls. The perfect hiding place for something so uniquely valuable. It didn't take long before a few coin hunters began to notice strange behavior with certain 1994 nickels. A weight discrepancy here. An odd ring test there. A strangely smooth edge or a magnetic anomaly. The more people looked, the more theories arose. It was a coin collector's version of a treasure hunt. And like any good hunt, it inspired devotion, obsession, and yes, even deception. Counterfeiters quickly attempted to capitalize on the emerging myth. Forgeries flooded online auction sites. Novice collectors were duped, mistaking low-value regular strikes for the mythical $94 million 1-cent nickel. And so, the line between truth and legend blurred, yet amidst all the chaos, there are documented stories of individuals discovering what experts believe may be genuine versions of the fabled 1-cent Jefferson nickel from 1994. In 2008, a collector in Ohio claimed to have found a 1994 nickel with an off-metal planchet strike. The coin, when examined under spectral analysis, revealed a core composition inconsistent with standard U.S. Mint specifications. It was sent for third-party grading and encapsulation. Though the findings were inconclusive, the coin sold at a private auction for an undisclosed sum rumored to be in the 7 figures. The buyer? A reclusive East Coast collector with known interests in experimental U.S. coinage. That single transaction reignited interest in the 1994 nickel story like wildfire. Numismatic forums lit up with speculation. Videos cropped up across YouTube and other platforms, some presenting detailed breakdowns of the coin's anomalies, others diving into conspiratorial rabbit holes about government cover-ups and hidden mint records. While the mainstream numismatic community often treats such stories with skepticism, they could not ignore the sheer volume of interest. The Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, have both noted spikes in 1994 nickel submissions, particularly those with even the faintest abnormalities. The thirst to find the mythical coin grew insatiable. Beyond the coin itself lies a much deeper, more human story. This is the tale of a nation's obsession with value, not just monetary, but historical, cultural, and personal. Coins like the 1994 Jefferson nickel 1-cent edition ignite something primal in us. The idea that hidden treasure might be lurking in our everyday life, waiting to be discovered, taps into a deep and universal longing. It's the same desire that drives people to metal detect on beaches, to scan garage sales for rare vinyl records, or to check every lottery ticket with hopeful anticipation. These coins represent possibility. That's the real allure. That's what elevates a 5-cent piece into something worth $94 million, not the metal, not the minting process, but the myth, the magic, the mania. Now imagine for a moment you come across a jar of coins tucked away in a family attic. Dusty, forgotten, but filled with decades of circulating currency. You dig through it and notice a 1994 nickel that seems a little different. Could it be one of them? That's the question fueling the dream of collectors from New York to Nevada, from small-town enthusiasts to high-end dealers, and that dream has real economic consequences. The ripple effect of the 1994 Jefferson nickel legend has driven entire markets. Coin shows have added dedicated booths just to examine nickels from the 1990s. Private grading services have launched premium packages for error coin detection. Online marketplaces have seen a 300% spike in listings for rare 1994 nickels, and the demand shows no sign of slowing. Even television programs and documentaries are being developed to chronicle the hunt for this elusive piece of American history. Some claim that the U.S. Mint has long been aware of the coin's mystique and quietly retrieved many of the rogue coins. Others believe that at least 3 known examples remain in private hands. One widely circulated rumor claims that a retired Mint employee confessed on their deathbed to having seen a batch of 1994 Jefferson nickels struck on experimental zinc-based 1-cent planchets. If true, this would validate the legend and explain the strange metallic inconsistencies found in certain coins. The existence of this coin represents a tantalizing question: what happens when value is dictated not by the state, but by belief? By legend? By demand? That's the paradox of the 1994 Jefferson nickel 1-cent edition. It may or may not exist in the form collectors hope. But that hasn't stopped it from commanding a fictional face value of $94 million in the hearts and minds of those chasing it. And in a very real sense, that makes it priceless. So the next time you receive change at the store or open a forgotten drawer and hear the soft clink of old coins, take a closer look. There's a chance, however slim, that you could be holding a piece of modern folklore in the palm of your hand. A 1-cent Jefferson nickel from 1994 that may just be worth $94 million. Not simply because of what it is, but because of everything it represents. The hunt, the hope, the history. It's a story too compelling to ignore, and if you love stories like this, tales where history, mystery, and money collide, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us on the next treasure hunt through America's forgotten coinage. Because you never know what's hiding in plain sight, waiting to make history all over again.